The title of tonight's share is Why Did Dovid Hamelech Have Such a Tough Life? And everybody knows the famous story about when Shmuel Hamelech, we'll get back to that shortly, comes to make him the king of Clan Israel. His father produces his 7 sons. Dovid Hamelech is not included in this. He's a shepherd, and he was sent by his father to be a shepherd. And this lasts till he's 28. So 28 years of his life is a rejection by his father and a rejection by his brothers. And indeed a rejection by everybody else. They didn't think what his father thought, which we'll come to shortly. However, people knew that he was thrown out of the family, sort of thing. Shepherd apparently is an indication of that. And so he's been rejected for 28 years.
Indication of what?
An indication of that.
Of what?
Having been rejected by the family. He's not at home, he's away, got out in the field and stuff like that. So let's start. We could start with Shmuel, I suppose we did. But there's a famous Gemara in Yevomis in Perek Oral, Perek Shmini, and the Mishnah starts and says, This is absolutely critical to Dovid Hamelech's story. So a Moabite and an Ammonite, says the Mishnah, are oser, that's the males, so it's in the plural, in the masculine rather, are forbidden, and they're forbidden forever. But a female Moabite or Ammonite who converts is immediately okay. Now that means, because people forget this bit, that means a Moabite male can convert. But he can't marry into Klal Yisrael having converted. But the Moabitess, or the Ammonitess, then they can marry immediately into Klal Yisrael. There is no barriers to this. And the Mishnah continues. But then there's a famous story. Let's just remind, I'm sure we've learned this before and you know it anyway from your own learning, but let's just remind ourselves exactly what this story is about. Ooh, now we're... Oh, we need more chairs. Gosh, I thought...
I didn't know there was scotch.
Would you like a scotch?
I have
just
a rule.
No.
The Scotsman offers me a drink, I don't turn it down.
Oh, good man. Yeah. If you go into the kitchen, and straight ahead of you there's a cupboard, you find a glass, just above the sink. Gosh, I thought 40 seats was enough, but we need another 2. Let's go. Where was I? Yes. So the Gemara famously says, please help yourself. The Gemara famously says that this incident here of Moab and Moabi leads us into a story of when Dovid Hamelech goes out, the most famous, probably one of the most famous of stories of Tanakh, when he goes out to fight the Philistine. So you remember that the Jewish army is facing a Philistine army for 3 days. They have unleashed their secret weapon. And the secret weapon is this big fellow who is 12 feet tall, and Goliath, who is related, he is a cousin of Dovid Hamelech. Although I'm not sure they might know that at the time. Anyway, to cut a long story short, he is threatening the Jewish people and insulting our God, and along comes Dovid Hamelech, and the king, realizing, and this was a very common feature of medieval, up to medieval times, before a battle, then each army would have a champion, and the champion would come out and throw down the gauntlet to the other side's champion. Obviously, it's a very clever but a very high-risk strategy. If your champion wins, obviously that demoralizes the other guys and is mechazik, electrifies your side. But if he loses, but they've got a no-lose situation here. Because he's 12 feet tall, the guy's a walking tank. Armor, all that stuff, whoosh. And no Jew is willing to offer pick up the gauntlet and fight this fellow. Along comes tiny Dovid, remember he's a small fellow, and he comes out and he says, "What? You're letting this happening?" And he goes, and the trick is that the king said, anyone who would take him on in battle gets to marry my daughter. It's my daughter's hand in marriage, apart from other stuff. And so Dovid Hamelech says, "I'll do it," and we all know what comes next. Fine. But the Gemara takes up the story and says the following thing. Keros Shol is Dovid Yotze L'Kros Philistine. When the king sees Dovid going out to fight this Philistine, Omer el Avner Sar Hatzava, he says to the general of his army, who's a fellow called Avner, Ben Mizeh Hanar Avner. Who is this fellow Avner? To which, V'yoma Avner Chai Nafshecho Hamelech Im Yadati. By the life of the king, your life, I have a clue. Says the Gemara below, Yodani? What's going on here? The Pasuk says, he loved Dovid very much. He carried his armor, which is apparently a great covet. No. What did he say? He says Ben Mizeh. Who is his dad? Ben Mizeh. The son of who is that? So he's asking who his father was. Oh, that makes sense because you know who Dovid is, but he's asking who his father is. To which Shmuel says, "Do me a favor." Well, it doesn't.
Yishai.
Okay. Sorry.
He didn't know Yishai.
Exactly. He didn't know Yishai. Okay. El Avokal Moshel Obi Lo Yodali. That's more ridiculous. He didn't know who his father was because he says, "Ish be'imei Shaul zokim bo banoshim." There was a person in the days of Shaul Hamelech, and he came with Anoshim. He used to come with 600,000 people used to escort him. If you look in the Art Scroll Chofetz Chaim book, he arrived once at the Israel conference in Warsaw, and there's a picture there of 500,000 Jews who are filling the square in front of the train station to try to get a glimpse of the Chofetz Chaim, who also was, of course, a tiny fellow. Okay. Va'amar Rabbi Yitem Rabbi Bezeh Yishai Avi Dovid Shenitza Beluxim Yosef Beluxim. Where we went, he was the God Ladar. College jobs someone to do get a glimpse of the God Ladar. Tens of thousands of Jews followed him wherever he went. It's not Yishai. I mean, he knows who Yishai is. So Haki Amar Shal Imi Peretz Lasi Imi Zarachasi. So the question was like this: who is he descended from? Because I've offered my daughter's hand in marriage, but if he is from the tribe of Yehuda, which I think you could obviously assume that he was, which he was. And that means that he could, by marrying my daughter, be a candidate to become the next king over my son Yonasan. But that's only if he's descended from Yehuda through Peretz. So Peretz has two sons. We all know that story. In fact, we talked about that just not too long ago, Tamar and Peretz. So if he's a direct descendant of Peretz, who is the next link in the line of the Mashiach, the Messianic line, then maybe not so good. If he's Zorach, that's just very nice. You get nice yichus, right? But that's okay. And my parents also a Malka Havi Shemelech Paretz as is Derech. If he comes from parents, then parents comes from word pirates to break things because the king, if he's out hunting or something, he can go through your property and you can't argue. But Ein Man can be out, nobody can refuse him. In Zorach also, but it becomes from Zorach. Oh, Chashibah, very nice yichus. That's very good. Amatam Omalei Shol, the Chassidus says the Yilba Shol is obvious. Why does he see it? Because when he put on the armor, he saw a miracle. The armor shrunk. The armor, because Shol himself was a giant fellow, and it shrunk to fit the. But he took off as we know. Okay, fine. We'll jump to trumpet. Omalei Doeg. At this point, it gets very interesting. Doeg Adami turns around and says, "Acha atom moshpil mashal alav im hugan hulamachas." I don't understand this conversation, Your Majesty. You're discussing whether or not he's fitting to become part of the royal family, part of Klaus Royal royalty. Ask a better question. Is he a Jew? Is he a legitimate Jew? If he is, because we said before, a Moavi can become a convert, a Moavi male, and a Moavi female certainly can. Both can become converts. But the Mishnah says, they can convert, but they can't marry into Klal Yisrael. So he says, ask whether he's fitting to become part of Klal Yisrael. Of course, he can't marry into the Jewish family. He can't marry a Jewish girl at all. Right? To which, at that point, is very interesting. Avner, who's the general of the army, starts a debate with Doeg, who is the greatest Talmud Chacham, say Chazal, from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu to that moment in time. Greater than Shmuel, the greatest Talmud Chacham. But you can see there were sort of generals you got in armies in those days that he takes them on, who gets a Dafa thing going on here. Only Avner, to which he says, Tanim in a Mishnah or a Brisa, Amoni Ma'avi V'lo Ma'avis. We've learned that a Moabite male is banned, but the Moabite females are not banned from marrying into Jewish people. To which he immediately retorts, Elami Atom Mamzalo V'lo Mamzeres. Why don't you use the same logic and apply that to the Pasuk? The Pasuk only says Mamzer is banned from coming into Klal Yisrael. Mamzeres, according to your logic, should be okay. To which, sorry?
And we know that not.
We don't, at this stage we don't know. That's very important. In Jewish history, in Halakhic history, sounds a very strange phrase, in the evolution of the halacha, it's not yet been fixed. That's going to be very crucial. We'll come to that in a second.
Mamzer hadn't been fixed?
Sorry? Mamzer. Sorry, I meant, I do apologise. Not that the Moavi thing. Yeah, okay. Mamzer gave him Mumzar. To which he says, Mumzar, Mitzir v'lo Mitzir, shiny hacham, so he goes on. He says, no, that's the difference. The difference, why? Because the Pasuk says a distinction between the two. We're not going to get it mixed up with Mamzer. Why? Because it says, why should it be that they're banned? Because they didn't offer you food and water when you come out of the desert, and they're cousins of ours because they were descended from Lot, Abram's nephew, etc. Fine. So it's men offer hospitality, and therefore that's why they are banned, but the women, no. To which he says, to which he replies, no, then the men should have the cross Anoshim, the men should have gone out the Moabite men to offer hospitality to the men, and the women, the Noshim, the cross Anoshim. Ishtikum. At that point, Avner doesn't have an argument. It's very interesting. In logic, really, I could just sort of like stay in this Gemara and not get to the rest of this stuff here. But this is a very interesting thing here. That means that by Svara, he's won. By a logical debate, he simply won the case. Okay? Ishtik, he's got nothing to say. And if you doubt that, I know you know this a bit, let's see what happens next. V'yam Hamelech Shol says, Ata ben mi ze ha'elam ha'asam korele ha'nar ha'ocha korele ha'elam ha'okika omer le halacha ne'elma mecho. We don't need that, but anyway, get to the chase. I see the halacha is hidden from you. Say the shol b'beis medrash. So it's very good. I like this bit. I said, like, you don't know halachas. Go to the yeshiva. Where's Torah come from? Yeshivas. That's where people work stuff out. Shaba Amarli Amoni Balam. Honestly, they went and they have this whole big sisuch in the Gemara as well. Actually, Doig call Hanit Kushasaiso, and he turns back. Just the exact repetition of the arguments. Ishtiku, and now Ishtik and plural. So all the Rosh Yeshiva and all the Gedolei Adar are all going, nothing to say. Boilach Wuzilil. At that point, they're about to make an announcement that Dovid Hamelech, indeed, that the halacha is that a Moabite man can never marry into Klal Yisrael. He's a Moabite man. And of course, he's descended from Rus, because therefore, Moabite woman as well. And at that point, and this is the bit I like, I've been, in my public speaking in yeshiva, I've been trying to get the boys just now to talk about, to learn how to speak in public about something which is topical. So after all the anti-Semitic attacks, I'm supposed to be speaking in that show in Muncie that was to try to get into tomorrow night. Might be cancelled or postponed. Anyway, I've spoken there about 20, 30 times. Anyway, Self called Self. It's very interesting. Should Jews carry guns? Should not Jews carry guns? And Avi usually comes here, who's a great nephew of Reb Chaim. Asked him to find out exactly what the situation was. Because don't people say he said yes? Some people said he said no. Some people said he should have one gun in the show. Wait to see exactly what he said. But it's very, very interesting. The Gemara says that when people used to come to shul, to yeshiva to learn, then there was a cupboard, there was a closet where they put their spears and that was the equivalent of carrying guns. It's very dangerous times. Okay. Anyway, so I suppose the Shadow specifically.
It was wartime.
Sorry?
It was wartime.
Well, that's right. So that's I'm not sure if it's actually. I mean, here it's wartime. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, generally, it's very dangerous places. Right? Anyway, Ba'almas ben Ish Shmoy Isra Yisraeli, Shabo al Abigail, and there was somebody called Yisera Yisraeli Shabo al Abigail Bas Nochash, the daughter of Nochash, because even some people say Yisa Yishmaeli. Omar Rabba Malaman Shahogar Chabak Yishmael. He's called the Yishmaeli because he put on his sword like a Yishmaeli. But Omar Kol Mish En Shemei Halacha Zu. Anybody who doesn't accept this halacha Yedakar B'Cherev, and I will ventilate him with the sword that I happen to have. Kach Mechablani Mi Beis Din Shel Shmuel. I have a Kabbalah from the Beis Din of Shmuel. Haramtim Amani V'Loma Ami. We've learned Amani V'Loma Amanis Ma'avi V'Loma Abish. And that seemed to settle the argument. Even then it was a bit. In other words, the status of Dovid Hamelech was in flux up until the stage where he goes out to fight the Pilishti, and there's a whole sixloch, and then it gets settled. But at the time it was settled, actually, when Boaz and Ruth, that's exactly why Paul Amoni doesn't want to marry her. But Boaz held, who was the god Lador, that it's Mo'avi below Mo'avi. It's exactly this argument. But this halach had not yet been, it's an interesting idea, had not been makabel, not accepted, or not well known within Klal Yisrael.
Canonized.
Sorry?
Canonized.
That's right, canonized. Well, fixed in canon law. Not quite saying that. That's the story. So this is the first time that Dovid Hamelech has been rejected in his life, and it's sort of got happy. And sorry, it's not the first time. Sorry, it's not the first time. The first time is when his father. The first time his father, and then consequently the brothers. Okay, exactly so. What's the story there? So let me just remind us of that story. I think we know that story. There's a Medrash Rabbah that tells, well, there's so much to get through, I'm going to try and miss out the Medrash Rabbah rather than going into it, but in the Medrash Rabbah, if you're interested in Vayikra, it's on the Seder Tazria in Perek Yud Daled, and it's in the commentary of the Anuf Yosef here. And he says the following interesting thing, and it's quoted here as well, but basically to short circuit, I'll tell you outside. When Yishai is in trouble, which he is now, Yishai. Just talk about Yishai for a second. Yishai is the Gadol Hador, and that Gemara we just said that he's called his daughter Abigail Bas Nochash. Why Bas Nochash? Because she was the daughter of Yishai. Why is it called Nochash? Because Chazal say that apart from, there's just a few individuals in human history, that apart from the bite of the Nochosh, that's the Odam Arishan thing, then he would never have died. He never did anything wrong in his life, which would have justified him dying. Normally, every Avera that you do might have consequences, physical consequences to you, shorten your life. But he did nothing wrong. He was a complete tzaddik. And that's going to be very important. Hold that thought. He's a complete tzaddik. Anyway, it says the following thing. I won't go into what the Gemara is talking about. Let's just jump in here.
So this fellow was a son-in-law to Yishai?
Abigail Bas Nochash.
He married Abigail?
Abigail is, it's Dovid Hamelech's sister.
So this fellow is David's brother-in-law?
David's brother-in-law.
It's his own yichus too. It's his own children too.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's true. I always wondered about this. I don't want to go there. It sounds a little bit Nagia, right? It's only a bit Nagia.
He says Boaz did. Boaz
Sorry?
did the same Nagia. He paskined and then he married Rus.
Why? No, why? Well, he doesn't have to paskin that way.
He chose to paskin that way and he married Rus.
Yeah, but you could say because he believes that. But I'm saying if you're now, it doesn't affect his yichus. It's only his children from her.
Right.
It was
So you
only
can avoid
Nagea
that
once
by
you
not marrying
paskin.
her.
It was only Nagea after you paskin.
Right.
That's right. But here it's Nagea to him. But he's already, that's me. You're talking about me and my children as well.
Right.
So I always worried about that. I must go into that. It's a very good
Well,
point.
that's what it's Kachim Kulmani. I'm not saying out to myself.
Oh, that's right.
I'm passing on.
Yeah,
what I
but yeah.
and you could check it out.
Yeah,
Other
but that's
people
what,
also
yeah, but that's what I said before when they came up in the conversation. The people said or two people told me that Reb Chaim said, with regard to carrying a gun on Shabbos, that he'd said that why not was what I'd heard people say. But then people said, well, maybe he didn't say that. So why don't you say Kach Mekublani? Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not saying no, but I mean, anyway, fine. Story goes like this. So when it must have been, so again, when is it settled, or when is it? The Gemara seems to take on that was the point it was settled. So that's before this point, after the 7 sons are born, and that means 28 years before that, right? He's rejected for 28 years. So we're going back three decades beforehand. Then there must have been an eruption of this again. Now he's already got 7 sons. And that means any further son that he's going to have is going to be born, this is tricky, is going to be born with the same suffix hovering over him. But he comes up with a brilliant device, a brilliant way around this problem. And that is, if I marry a second wife, which of course is perfectly legitimate at that time to do it, but if he takes on a second wife, there's got to be a specific sort of wife. He can't marry another Jewish woman, because what's the point of doing that? In order to solve my problem, if I marry a Shifka, right, so his wife, I just finished writing about her for my new book. Remember I told you, if you say her name 17 times at the Moral of Prayer before you daven, you're guaranteed that your prayers will be answered. Look at them, now they're interested. Yeah, what's her name, right? It's a Segula to say, it's a Gemara in Sanhedrin Kuf Aleph, if I think that's right. It's also the names of various people, like Avram Avinu's mother's name. Baskana, which is a Segula to say apparently, so I say all the time. I don't know what Segula's for, but why not? Just bring it all on. But Dovid Hamelech's mother was called Nitzevis Bas Adiel. And some people say that the name is a hint, Eid El, Ayin Dalet, right? God testified. Nitzevis means she stood, and some of the Psalms say just like Dovid Hamelech, Moshe Rabbeinu's sister stood at the bank to watch him in the river, and Hannah stood. She's in the highest level. She's like them. Now that's why I said before, it's important to point out that he's a tzaddik, he's the gadol adorer, he's a tzaddik who's done nothing wrong in his life. So let me pause for a second and ask a ridiculous question. We all know how our world works. When it comes to the world of shidduchim, okay, if your name is, I don't know, Soloveitchik or Gurevich or names like this, then in the Litvisher world, what sort of shidduch do you, what sort of name is the girl that's going to marry your son going to have? Soloveitchik or Gurevich? Yes, okay. I'm not trying to suggest, but you get the idea, right? And because very, very ecostic families looking for, but that makes sense. You're looking for somebody who is on your level, right? And I can't resist going off on a tangent, which terrifies me. Oh my God, it's finished, but we'll always get next week. But there's a beautiful story I tell my girls at my Talmidas in seminary all the time. I've shared this with you, but it's so fabulous. A story about, I had this from Ramata at my wedding to my late wife, Leshan. Ramata Siel Solomon said this at the wedding. And you should know, just to warn you all, because you're not at that stage, you're not as ancient as I am, but when it gets to the stage of marrying off your children, just to give you the warning, if you marry your kids to a English girl, or an English boy, not English girl particularly, English girl, the wedding will have to be in England, yes. There are at least 4 speeches at a wedding in England, but just to warn you. Yeah, that's it.
First part and second part.
Well, that's right. Anyway, self goes self. So I used to tell my girl at our wedding. Matsuya said this as a shot from my late wife on her shoulder. He said the following true story about the Chazanish. A young lady in Bnei Brak had been in a shidduch with a Talmud Chacham, and she said that she came to another shidduch. She wasn't sure whether this was for her. So she said she liked the man. Good. She respected the man, but she didn't know whether she had the Mesiras Nefesh. That it's neat to be married to a Talmud Chacham. I'm certainly not a Talmud Chacham, but when I was engaged to Jews, certainly, I used to get up in the morning from my first converse about 6:45. I didn't see my wife. Did we have breakfast? I think we had breakfast. She went to work. She was keeping me in learning. I saw her again for supper in the evening, and my evening converse came in. She was still awake. When I got to bed, we missed for a little bit more, and that was it. Right? You don't see your husband when he's a rover, he's a Talmud Chacham. I was just practicing. Anyway, you get the idea. So she said she liked the man and she respected the man, but she didn't know whether she had the Mesiras Nefesh to be married to Talmud Chacham. And the Chazon Ish, now the Chazon Ish was the most machmir of our Litvisher world. The Satmar Rebbe, the Divrei of the Chassidish world, the Chazon Ish was our equivalent when it came to strictness. And he said to her, everybody marries for one reason and one reason only, for joy and contentment. And if marriage to a Talmud Chacham would bring you joy and contentment, then the Talmud Chacham is for you. However, if you look upon it as a Mesiras Nefesh, then the Talmud Chacham is not for you. So Ramatsia said that from my late wife, I thought it's a very nice thing. That's not why I tell the story to my girls. To my Talmidas, I tell it to the girls because I want them to know that you're expected to want a happy life, to have joy and contentment. The Machmir Chazon Ish said, everybody marries for joy and contentment. You're allowed to do that. Right? Oh, I want to get married and be miserable. No. But this would bring you joy and contentment. You get nachas of the fact that your husband sits and learns and is a posik or whatever, and people are busy all the time knocking on your door. I think gives you joy. That's gewaltige Sache. But the point I'm trying to make really with regards to our shia is it makes sense surely to anticipate that the sort of person who would marry the God Ladar at that time was not a simple person. The Chidah says that he's the Chidah. He says, I can't remember the exact lotion, Belishim Shanas, she was a Tzedekah's Gedolah. Tzedekah's Gedolah. What happens, we'll come back to Tzedekah's Gedolah in a second. What happens is that he realizes that there's a way out of this. If I marry my Shivka, and I marry her on an almanas, I'm going to marry on condition, a halakhically binding on condition. And it goes like this. If I am okay, if I am a member of Klal Yisrael, in other words, it says, Ma'abi below Ma'abis, and Rus is included, and therefore I am too, then with this act of marriage, then I free you. And now we all know that Shivka, like an Eved, is taken on, well, it's difficult for a Shivka because she is good. An Eved Kanani takes on all the mitzvahs, law as man groma, are not fixed by time. The exact same as a woman. A Shivka, obviously, then she takes on all the mitzvahs, but she's still a Shivka. I don't know what tiny alteration is. Anyway,
Marriage to an Eved.
Ezra B'Yisrael.
sorry, that's right. Israel too. So somebody born Jewish. That's right.
Marriage to an Eved.
Sorry, what did I say?
And she can still marry an Eved.
Yeah, you can marry an Nebuchadnezzar, right?
Masha can.
We'll come into that. That's very good. So, therefore, what happens is, if I am no good for entering Klal Yisrael, if Doeg is right, if the ban on Moabites is male and female, and I'm stuck, come to that in a second. But if I'm not, if Doeg's wrong, well, he doesn't know Doeg's argument yet, he's not around yet. But if I'm okay, then I'm marrying you and freeing you by the act of marriage. You then become a fully qualified ger. Right? Because a convert who gets freed automatically graduates to full status of convert and is allowed to marry into Klal Yisrael. Their previous status gets left behind. Well, the Gemara advances this, and because it's going to be a video.
Child then?
Sorry?
What's the status of the child?
Oh, so I'll come to that in just a second. That's where we're going. Okay, so if I'm okay, then I'm going to marry you. The act of marriage is also concurrently going to be freeing you. You become a Geras, and therefore I can marry Geras. What's the problem with marrying Geras? No problem whatsoever. If it's a Kohen, it's difficult, but yeah, no problem. Fine, poof. But what if I'm not okay? But if I'm not okay, then you're not free, then you're just a Shivka. And look at me, I can't marry an Ezra, a born Jew, but I can marry you. Right? And again, it's no problem whatsoever. Oh, what about my children? Then my children will be Shivkot or Avodim Kanani. I'd rather they were, because if they get freed, then they lose the status of not being able to marry into Klal Yisrael because that's left behind. Ta-da! Easy peasy.
That's how you fix the monster as well.
Sorry, I fixed the monster. I was reluctant to say that, and yeah. But
Yeah.
that's right. Exactly so, right.
He sent the guy to Sudan.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, so basically, that's what he wants to do, and it's really very clever. However, the Ramomi panel, who takes up the story here, and because we're running out of time, but honestly, it's here.
The Shivka was also a great woman.
Sorry?
The Shivka
Yeah, and I'd love to. The Shivka was also, he says, that she knew, how she knew, or she certainly believes. In the book, I said she believes. I've no raya. It's very difficult writing the story without rayas. Anyway, but she believed that it means Moavi, V'lo Moavi, Zamana, V'lo Amonis. There's no problem whatsoever. Really, he should not have this, which he did. Knowing that he's got this problem, he daren't have more children with his wife, because any children I bring into the world are going to be stuck the same way, with this hovering over their heads like I am. So for 3 years, he separated from his wife. He separated from the Seves Basadiel. So now I'm going to marry the Shivka, let's call her Mary. So he's got Jean. I'm going to marry Jean. And as you say, actually that's disrespectful, because she was obviously a very great person. And it's mamish a repeat of the story of Rachel and Leah. To the extent that there was a way, that she was supposed to be identified. Anyway, Bekitzer, she's very loyal and she loves her mistress. She goes to Nitzeva, she explains what's going on, and she said, well, there's nothing I can do about it. We were separated for 3 years. But I've got something I can do about it. Before the time of the wedding night, etc., then what's going to happen is you're going to come. I'll tell you exactly what I was supposed to be saying to him, the code, just Rachel and Leah thing, and we will swap places. And in the morning, before sunlight, so that's what the
How did she know the halacha?
Sorry?
How did she know the halacha that you should?
Well, don't forget.
There was me.
Yeah, she's the god like.
That she shouldn't know.
Oh, so there's a famous story about Tevi, the famous Eved, who was accused of Talmud.
Yeah.
And used to.
Not bigger than Gamliel though.
Sorry.
Not bigger than his master.
Yeah, but you don't have, how big do you have to be to know the halacha? I don't know. Anyway, whatever way she tells her
She
the
should have
same.
taken out the sword.
And cut his.
And anyway, so what happens is, that's what happens. That night, then, really, it's the 3 years have been sort of like forgotten, but he doesn't know. He thinks he's marrying this new wife, but it's really the old wife. She conceives. And in the morning, when he wakes up, in the kitchen, and bringing in the cornflakes, is his new wife, right? Jean. So she comes, right? And he knows nothing about this forever. And then when it becomes obvious that his wife is pregnant, then it cannot except be adultery. Her sons that believe she's committed adultery, the penalty for adultery, and this is the goblin as well. I mean, this is going to make it into the newspapers, right? Gosh. Nancy Pelosi will be tearing up papers in jail.
She already did it.
That's anyways, the key, sir. When she becomes pregnant, then the brothers indeed want to go through a whole dinner and have their mother, whom they are ashamed of. This is the incredible Busha, and when, of course, she has the child, the problem is that he doesn't look like the other brothers. He's got red hair. They're all dark. So and this adds to the thing. Fine, she's a disgrace. She's rejected by her sons and her husband. He's a disgrace. Go and be a shepherd. Keep away from the family.
She doesn't say anything.
So,
That's an
good. So why did you say anything? That's what we're talking about, really. So why didn't you say anything? See, it sounds very much like Tomer, doesn't it? So she won't say anything because she doesn't want. You could say she's just like Tomer. She doesn't. Like Tomer didn't want to for Shem Yehuda, embarrass Yehuda. That's why she would rather throw herself in the fire. We talked about that this year. We went into that in a lot more depth. We saw there's a different, rather different story than people understand. But I can get that. But this is different. This is different because
They're married.
what?
They're married.
No, it's different because what about the pain that she's allowing to happen to her son and watching her son's rejection
It's not just
for
herself.
28 years? Not just herself.
It's stuff
Right?
about
It's
it.
talking about being called mamzer, being rejected by his father,
Did he
etc.
divorce her?
Sorry?
Did he divorce her?
No. Oh, I don't know actually. I can't find that. You have to look.
He would have to if he was convinced that she committed adultery.
Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah,
suppose
well,
he must have
that's
been.
it.
Yeah, I suppose we'd have to.
Yeah.
At least until.
Well, he certainly doesn't have to. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
What's the
say that
rationale,
looks-
besides for David, what's the rationale of not saying anything?
Oh,
What-
no, that's where we're going.
Why not?
Right, that's what Shear's all about. What's the rationale?
Oh,
Well, what's her rationale? Okay, fine. So, indeed, how can a mother stand by and watch her son suffer such abuse? Not abuse is the wrong word, but you get that. Such rejection, such. It's horrible. Sorry? Yeah, it does actually send a little child abuse. I think you're right, actually. Where do I want to go from here? Good. Rabbi Dessler. Rabbi Dessler, Michtam Leon, Halakhic base on page 232. I'm waiting for time. He says the following interesting thing. He's talking about Yosef getting ready. Again, I'll say it mostly outside the time. Yosef getting, he says, in the exact same way as Yosef was getting Mitzrayim ready for Klal Yisrael, Yaakov Avinu was getting Klal Yisrael ready for Mitzrayim. But how did he do this? So there's a general rule that we have that in order to get maximum help from Shemayim, you have to do maximum to help yourself down here. That's a very bad translation. It's called Arusa de l'El and Arusa de l'Tosa. The more difficult circumstances you overcome down here, then that's going to open up more bracha for you. Yosef is able to be the Keli that saves Klal Yisrael by changing Egyptian society because of the fact that he was betrayed by his brothers, and that's really a knife in the back. He was, through them, sold to be an Eved in Mitzrayim, which nobody ever gets out of. That's a life sentence. Mitzrayim, as we say in the Haggadah, is the place that treats its slaves worse of all. There's light at the end of the tunnel because it becomes the major domo, is the Latin phrase, the guy in charge of Potiphar's house. And everybody likes him, everybody respects him, and things are going really very, very well. And then the problem is that Mrs. Potiphar has got different plans and tries to compromise him again and again and again, and he refuses. That's why it's got the shalshelas above it. So a lot of refusal going on there. And then she manages, everybody knows, gets everybody else and tries to get him to do an avera, and he won't do it. Maybe she accuses him, he's put on trial, and he's stuck in jail. When he's stuck in jail, he asks for help, and the help backfires on him. And he says, at no point, I'm going to get the lotion here, at no point did he ever have any time as Hashem Yisborach. Did he ever complain? Even though you could easily imagine, say, hold on a minute, Rabban Shalom, I passed the test because of you. This is a big Nasain, Ishes Potiphar, and I withstood the test. And now the name of Jew is Achil Hashem in Mitzrayim. It's because of me, because I passed the test. And none of this, he says, I can't remember exactly. Sorry?
Nobody believed it though.
Yeah, and actually you're right, they didn't believe it. Well, the Hamanam would believe it, the majority would believe it. But the people involved in the case exactly knew there was a
He
lie.
did it to save face.
Sorry?
Potiphar.
Yeah, and you're right,
to
you're
save
right.
face.
It doesn't
Because
help.
I knew-
Yeah, it's very nice. If I'm sitting in jail, I'm not very pleased because, yeah, very good. That's his motivation, but it's not going to help me. But when you're going through that, you can expect to have maximum siyata d'shmaya, and that was what allowed Yosef to be the person who's going to prepare all this from. And here it's if you remember, when we were doing the story about Tamar, when she's told your husband is going up to the south to shear his sheep, and she goes out, and this whole mice with Tamar, who told her? Who told her that your father-in-law is going up to shear his sheep? Going up to shear, what's going up? So we said at the time, there's times in a person's life of Yerida and times of Aliyah. It's called you may see it, you may have it. There's no doubt that Yehuda goes down drastically. Why not? Drastically, as a consequence of lack of intervening sufficiently to save years. But now he's going up again. This is the moment in time when if you were to conceive a child by him, we talked about this in more depth there, or children by him, because only he can bring back two neshamas. Remember how we talked about that?
Sheila.
The whole thing is a yibum. So we've got Sheila can't do that. Sheila, he can only bring back Oinen, and then Sheila. So he will bring back the nefesh of Oinen, but because that's all the brother can do, a father can bring back both. Why? Because he brought both in the first place. Says the Alshik. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, fine. So this is what the list of this. This is Noravoim. This is from Yalkut Makiri. I've not even seen come across it. Elam Kufutches. And this is in Sefer Sifsei Chaim, and incidentally, it's Sifsei Chaim on this Midas Avodah and Chelik Aleph, even though it should be about this story here. Anyway, he's talking about Anivas. And so he says the whole story about when Shmuel comes along to anoint, he's told by Hashem, because among Yishai's children, that's it. When Eliyav, the oldest one, is standing there, he says, immediately, that's the one! And Hashem says, oh no, you look only at the outside, look at the hearts of the person. Fine. But listen to this. Are you ready for I'm so excited, listen to this. So what happens is he says, where's no more sons? You get no more sons? And he goes, that's Dovid. Now hold on. Why didn't he bring Dovid in the first place?
Wasn't his son.
He didn't think it was his son! He thought he was a man, that's why he didn't bring his son. He's not lying. When it says that he was flawless and never did anything wrong, well, this would be a flaw. That's not a flaw. He thinks it's not his son. That's why I didn't bring him. Well, this little other kid thing. Bring him? Right. But usually, and then, of course, the whole thing, this is the one we're talking about. He's only come to embarrass us. They thought that the whole thing was to. Shmuel was revealing the fact that the imams are in the family. No. We got black sheep in the family. The email should have smecha b'fneha, but at sevim b'chutz. So she looked sad. Which was, listen to this, rejoicing inside. Kiven shenokol kais Yeshua simcha kulan. When they lift up the cause of Yeshua, they all, what's the cause of Yeshua? Almad Shmuel v'nashka el rasha. He took the cup and he pours the oil on his head. Pasal b'amar Hashem, Amar alai b'ni ata. Hashem says, you're my son, you're my king. Ba'isa shah, Amar imoy. I'm going to cry. This is beautiful. At that moment, the Zebah says the following words. Evan Mosa Habonim. Who said this? Dovid Hamelech's mother said this. This is going to be very important. I forgot, I went off on my tangents as usual. When Tamar is told to go now and conceive a child by who told her? Her father. Who was her father? Shem ben Novi. Right? Her actions are imbued with Ruach HaKodesh. Right? Let's assume that it's Evis, if she's married to the God Lador, we're talking about Madrega She'in Kamoihu. Right? That's him. It's obviously he's going to have a wife on the same sort of Madrega. When she comes in and she said, and let's go up to Ruach HaKodesh, because these words are in Telam, we say it in Halal, it's part of what Klal Yisrael is, it's in the fabric of our very being. And she says, what's Evan Mosa Bonim? Habonim Kasiv. Omra I Ben. Who is the son? Shamosa Oisko Achecha, that your brothers, Habonim, the Bonim, not Bonim, the builders, the Bonim, the other sons. Oisel Rosh Pino. But Ali Salkonan, he's going to be greater than everybody else. Amalei Baneho. Me'is Hashem says, we get it now. After 28 years of rejecting our brother. Now, if she's imbued with Ruach HaKodesh, back to Chaim's question, why didn't she stop the abuse, the rejection of son? Go and say, okay, right? It's essential, just like Yosef, at the highest possible madrigas. First of all, which we also discussed when we talked about timer, all of the major stations in the journey of Mashiach are all hidden. When Yaakov says to his father-in-law, "It's time for me to come to my wife," the language, says Hashem Shmuel, is very crude. He says nobody would speak that. It was in order to confuse the Sultan. When he heard this can't be the line of Mashiach. Nobody would speak like that. That's not it. It was to confuse the Mashiach. The story of Timer, yes, with Kavanah. The story of Timer is a story of, the Sultan sees that and he's going, this can't be it. All of the story.
Like Moab.
Sorry? Like Moab, the whole thing is in order so the Sultan doesn't see it. We've discussed that before. But what is the essential ingredient that a king has to have, says Rechaim Friedlander? Anivus. Haidah is important as well, and that is the story of Yehuda.
And Dovid later.
And Dovid later, exactly. But humility, so he says, and listen, this is so brilliant, this. Muzar Yisrael Achi, he says, Haisav al Zeh Chidon. Chidon says, start with page. After he's anointed, listen to this, astonishing. When the whole story, all the accusations against him fall away, Ezekiel is reconnected. Think about it. How would normal people behave? You've been kicked out your father's house, right? But God ladar. But now, wouldn't you think, aha! Now, you see? And you think you are the sons of the God Ladar, and you're the big Kanakas? No! But what happens? Not just he's been
Vindicated.
Vindicated, that's all. Thank you. Vindicated, but now he's Mashiach. That didn't change him the slightest. Halakhic as Levi didn't make him even any proud. Listen, that's a boom. Allah of Shum Hagoshes Nitzach. No fight he wants to have with them. What did he do? He's inviting a shepherd. So Shlomo says, you're the Mashiach. The message was that you're my son. Hashem just said to me that you're my son. You're the Mashiach. Oh, that's very nice. Okay, thanks. Just like to be a shepherd. Now, we've got a lot more to say than being a shepherd. But his mother, knows that he's got to go through these 28 years of Akura Barzel, like all of the greats did. But certainly in the line of the Mashiach, go through strange, bizarre, rejection, embarrassment, shock. You won't even talk about in public or private, in order to be the sort of person who's got the midas of a nova to the degree that can open up the next link of the Mashiach. Why didn't she tell? She can't tell. She's got to let him suffer. Because she can love him and she can tell him stuff, but she's going to watch him suffering and not intervene, because she knows, and this is a hard thing for a mother to do, it's the right thing to do. It's the treatment, it's the remedy that he needs in order to be